I was dirty, and I went to school and I was filthy, and I believe that's when I learned how to fight, because kids would make fun of me until they realized I punched them in the mouth, and they wouldn't make fun of me no more. I was a protector of my family. I protected my brothers. I protected me, and that's just who I was. I was a protector, and so I learned to fight real quick, and I ended up fighting my whole life, and I was an outcast. I was an outcast of the outcast. Kids weren't allowed to hang out with me because my mom was a dope fiend, and so the kids I did hang out with were dope fiend kids, and my mom, she didn't really care what we did, as long as we didn't bring the cops to our house, mess up her program. I remember one time, though, my mom, she had me up in the window. I got in big trouble for this. She had me up in the window and she said, "You sit right here and you tell me if any cops come." I'm sitting up in the window. I'm little, I'm probably like 7 or 8. And the cop drives by. And I go in there, "Mom, the cops are here." She dumps all the dope in the toilet. I got my butt beat for that. And my mom, she didn't really much care as long as we didn't bring the cops home, honest to God truth. And we didn't have a lot of food, and I tell this story when I go and testify in the schools because it's a sad story. And we were so hungry. I was so hungry. You go to school and you put your backpacks down on the lunch wall, and kids have their lunches in there, and I'm not at the race yard. I'm going in the backpacks and I'm trying to find their food. Go in the bathroom, eat it up real quick. Got caught, got in trouble. Nobody really even comforted me or anything like that. They didn't even really have anything like they do now back in the days. I don't even know if they had NA or anything like that, but I know I was starving, and I didn't know the Lord at all. My mom never told us, my grandma, my aunts, nobody ever told us about God. The only thing I knew about God was that big old wrath fire that you hear people talking about. That's the God that I knew, and that's all I knew was that face. And so I went through school. I was bad. I don't even like to talk about how bad I was, but if you could go ahead and say that I've done pretty much everything, I should probably be doing life in prison right now. But it didn't happen. So I don't honestly like to even talk about anything that I did bad, because it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to me, and I know I don't live like that anymore, but I knew from when I was little that what I was doing was wrong, and I still chose to do it, So, but I do have to say a little bit of things so people that don't know me know that what God has brought me through. And so I was kicked out of school. I was kicked out of 6th grade, went to another school, got kicked out of that school, ended up going to juvenile hall, and through these times, my mom was in and out of jail, and my grandma would pay her dope fiend friends to come watch us, and they were just like my mom. All they cared about was doing the dope. So me and my brothers, we did whatever we wanted to do. So I ended up going to juvenile hall, and I stayed there a lot of my teen years, and they ended up calling me a menace to society at, I was 14 years old, and I was a menace to society, and they ended up putting me in placement, which would be foster care. And I would go to foster care. I would stay there long enough to get that $300 clothes fund, and then I would book it, and I'd run right back to my mom, because I loved my mom. Like, my mom was my best friend, And I would go to the foster homes, in and out, and finally they said, "Just send her back to her mom's. We're done with her." So I went to my mom's. I do have to say that when I did go to church, and I repented, and the only time I did go to church is twice when I was young, and the first church was on Carver Road, and I robbed every single bit of their musical equipment. I had no idea what I was doing to God's kingdom. I had no idea. I just knew that I was coming up, Maybe not even, I got away with that one. Maybe like 6 months later, there's a church next door. I robbed all their Christmas presents. I robbed all their stuff. And then, I have to drive past that church every single day. And it just breaks my heart that when I did get caught at that other church, Nobody even said, let's pray for this child. Nobody said, what's wrong, what's going on. They just sent me to juvenile hall, and I know where if it was me, like I'd be going after that child, like come here, and nobody ever did that to me, and I understand because I had that get away from me attitude, like I was a bad kid, don't touch me, don't be by me, if you do, it's gonna be all bad for you, and but it's whatever. I managed to get through that, and at 14, I actually fell in love with my baby's dad, and he was 24 years old, and now as, a woman, as I look at it, like, that was statutory rape, to be honest, but that was the kind of lifestyle we lived, and if my daughter would ever have a man that was that old, he would not be standing and be talking about it, you know what I mean? But it was nothing then. It was like, oh well, and I started doing my first, I hated dope. Me and my brothers, we swore we would never do dope. We would find my mom's needles, we'd break them, we'd throw them in the toilet. We'd find them full of heroin and blood, and we'd just like break them. My mom would get so pissed off. We didn't care. We hated drugs. Like, we made an oath. We would never, ever do dope. And you know what? It just happened. All my friends' parents were dope fiends. They all did dope. And me and one of my friends, Valerie Lee, we went down to her mom's house, and they had some drugs in the cabinet. And I didn't know that one line of dope, I should have known because it's, my whole family was like that. But that one line of dope took me out for at least 20 years, and I ended up doing a line of crystal meth, but it was crank back then. I don't know what they're doing now, but it was crank back then, and it was over. I was hooked. I was spun out at 14 years old. I was running the streets. I was robbing every single person I could think of. It didn't matter to me because that dope filled my heart with nothing but black charcoal. I didn't have the feeling. I didn't have the thought. All I wanted to do was just get some more dope and just go rob some people, and it was just disgusting. It was disgusting, And I did that for all those years, just robbing and doing dope and just causing chaos on the streets. And at 17 years old, I got pregnant. I got pregnant with Paige, and I didn't do no drugs during my whole pregnancy, and I was going to be a good mom, and I was like, I was scared, but you know what, I didn't care. I had this baby, and my baby's dad loves me, and he was still doing dope, and I was just in love with this baby that I was having, and the sad part is I couldn't love this baby because I didn't even know how to love. Like, my mom loved me, but she loved me with her feet in the foundation of a dope fiend mom, and I didn't know how to love this baby when she was born. Like, I swore I would never do no more dope. It was over. You were going to live a good life, and all that stuff. And it lasted for about 4 or 5 months. And all of a sudden, I was back on dope, And before my daughter was 1 year old, I was already 18, So there I go to county jail. And it was the same thing that happened with my mom, It was a rotation, a curse on my family. And so I was in jail, and my daughter was being raised by my mom. But I'm going to just go back a little bit, and when my little brother Micah was born, he was the miracle baby because she got off heroin, and she changed her life. Like, she was just she's always been a wonderful, caring mom, and I know that's where I get my heart from, but she was just like a totally different mom, and she took care of my daughter. Her and her other grandma, they took care of my daughter, and I stayed in jail, and I stole cars, and I did dope, and I wanted to be a good mom. I just didn't know how. I was a little tiny girl, like, I didn't know how to be a mom. All I knew was what I knew, and that's what I did. And so every time I went to jail, I promised everybody in the world, I'm going to change. I'm going to change when I get out. I'm going to change, And I meant it with all my heart because, like, I still wasn't walking with the Lord. I didn't even know about God. But I know that my heart was getting released from all that dope, so I was able to feel, And so I would get out, and I would go home, and I would be a good mom for a couple weeks, and boom, I was back on dope. And it was just a cycling transformation, you guys. It never stopped. It never stopped. I finally went to prison, you know, and I've been to every prison you could think of that women could go to. I've been to every fire camp you could think of. I've tried the NA program. I can't tell you how to work a step, you know, except for when I'm working it with my mentorees, because I've never worked a step, you know. And I'm not saying they don't work, because there's living proof right here that the steps of the NA program do work, you know. But I personally have never done them. But I know that when I went to prison, you know, I was off the hook. You know, I've always led women. I've always been a leader, and it gave me power, you guys, and I thrived off that power. I'm Amanda Tubbs. You can't touch me. You do what I say, or you get rolled up, all that stuff, you know what I mean? And that power just gave me so much, like, you know, it just gave me power. And so I've always led women in the wrong way, you know, and I feel really bad about that, because I've even led my brother in the wrong direction, you know, and it just totally sucked. But I know this, that when I got out of prison, my daughter, she was broken. I hurt her, you know, and she didn't trust me. She didn't want nothing to do with me. And I promise you, Paige, I love you. You know, I'm so sorry. Forgive me, you know. And every time she would forgive me, I would screw up. And why would she want to trust me again? So I went a lot of years without my daughter even talking to me, you know. And I understand why, and it hurt, but I understood why. But that shame and that guilt held me in my addiction, you guys. It held me down in bondage. You know, I was oppressed, like I couldn't get out of it. And so all I did is just use more and more and more drugs, you know. So that life sucked. That's all I got to say about that life. That life sucked, you know what I mean? God tried to rob me and steal me. He did rob, steal, and kill everything that I had for me, you know what I mean? But that life is dead. Like, I'm not even that person. I see people today on the streets, and they're like, Amanda? I'm like, yeah, dude. They're like, we thought you were dead. I'm like, no, I'm alive. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't even look the same. I don't act the same. I don't talk the same. I probably still walk because I have this strut that I just can't shake. But I'm not even the same woman, you know. God has totally transformed me, and I thank God for that. But I want to get to the part where I got hit with the Holy Spirit, you know. Like I said, nobody talked to me about God. I seen Bibles, all the jails and all that stuff, never picked it up. But I was in Chowchilla, and I was just sitting on the yard minding my own business, and this girl comes running up, my little homegirl. She's like, Amanda, I gotta tell you something. I gotta show you something. And I'm like, show me. And then she opens up this Bible, and she starts reading Proverbs 31, and it's the wife of a noble woman. And all those scripture that she was reading, it was just like hitting me. And she's like, where do we find those kind of women? And I just, like, the Holy Spirit just hit me just like that. And he said, you are that type of woman. And I just looked at her and I said, we are that type of woman. You know, and loyalty and righteous, you know, all that good stuff that I was, but I was living it for the enemy. I was right. You mess with me and my friends, it was over. Like, I was loyal. And, you know, so it just totally hit me. And I never even asked God, you know, God come into my heart, or God speak to me, nothing like that. God just said, finally, like, it's done. Boom. And I just like, shh. And I got a totally, like, a spirit that you guys know that I'm talking about with the Holy Spirit. And I was on fire. I can't even explain to you guys how the fire hit me, but it hit me so hard that, okay, mind you, like, they consider me a shot caller, or whatever you call that, but whatever. So I'm a shot caller in the prison yard, and I'm running around, and I'm on fire right now. I had no idea what's going on, but I go to the, she was a Catholic sister. She would go to the cells. I was on A yard, so you can't ever come out of your cell. She would come around passing out Bibles and scripture, and, you know, I went to her, I was like, what's going on, man? I just feel like so alive, I feel like free. It was literally, I was on fire, like the Holy Spirit lit me up. And she's like, she prayed with me, she had told me to invite God into my life, and I did that, you know. And instantly, within 2 weeks, I had a ministry in prison, and it was called Go Hard on the Yard, Follow the Way with Amanda May. I had no idea what I was doing. But I know that my boyfriend at the time, Nick Downs, his mom, we called her Mama Hulk, she was writing me in there. And so all of a sudden, I start these big old seminars. You know, I have people coming to see what I'm doing. And I'm giving out free Friends Outside glasses, sign up so I can get get your name so my people outside can write you. I don't know what was going on, but God was totally doing all that stuff. And so she was talking to me about the Lord, and I was telling her what happened, and she was just so excited to write me about Jesus. And so I had these ladies coming up, and I would have them do like a prayer thing. They would write their prayers, and I'm overwhelmed with like all this stuff. I have no idea what to do with these prayers. So I sent them to this lady, Mama Hulk, and she's going over here to the well, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with these prayers. Little did I know I could just pray right then for all of them. But I sent them over to the Mama Hulk, and her church started praying for them, and they started praying for me, and it was amazing. It was amazing. So so I was lit up. I was so unwise about the Bible that when I had one of my cinemars or whatever the heck it's called, I stood on the table during Thanksgiving and read the Thanksgiving prayer from the Bible. But the Thanksgiving prayer is like in all of parts of the Bible. It's not even the Thanksgiving prayer. It's just said the Thanksgiving prayer. So I was like, oh yeah, let's pray for this. So it was crazy, you guys. I had no idea what I was doing. I knew nothing about God, but I know this, that I was on fire, and because of that, women were following me, and they wanted to know what was going on. They were following Amanda. They were praying. They were getting set free, and it was amazing. I still had no idea what was going on. I didn't have the concept of really what God was doing. So I get out of prison, and the first place I go is Mama Hulk says, I'm going to take you to the well. And I said, okay, let's go, because I want to go to church. I want to go to church so bad, because you can go to church in there, but it's not, on A Yard, it was real, simple, you know what I mean? So I was like, take me to church, and she took me to the well, and I walk in, and I see all these prayers on this glass wall from all these women that I had sent. And, there's this old man sitting up there. It was crazy, guys. It was so crazy. So I'm sitting there, and this guy's looking at it, and I'm walking up, and he's like, do you know about this? And I was like, I think I am that. And he's like, Amanda Mae? And I was like, yeah! And he just started crying, and it was just so amazing. And so the pastor totally came to me, and he's like, what can we do for you? What can we do for you? And I'm the type of woman nobody's ever done nothing for me. I do everything myself. I don't need you, blah, 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 you know what I mean? And I was like, I don't know, I don't know what I need. And he introduced me to Chandra, And so he set me up with Chandra, and Chandra was just, she was on me, man. She was on me, she was loving on me. She took me to some AA meetings, and it was amazing, and so that part right there, I'm really bad with time, you guys, with years and stuff like that, but the things did happen. So I don't know if it was that time that my mom got baptized, or I had went back to jail. Okay, so I was on fire for the Lord, don't get me wrong, but the enemy snatched me right back, and I went back into my dope zone, and I was off the hook. I never stayed out of prison, definitely no more than 4 months, I'll tell you that. I lived in prison. But the fire was still inside of me, and when I go to jail, I don't go to the main yard. I go to where you're locked down 24/7 because I can't stay out of trouble, So I stay in BMAX for a year, 2 years this last time. But so I go back to jail, and Chandra never fails. She sent me the letters, she prayed for me, sent me scripture, she didn't give up on me, and I'm so blessed by her love. That's why I wanted to play that song, is because love stepped in my life and took over me. Nobody was condemning me. Nobody was saying, you got to do this, you got to do that. It was the love, from godly women that just transformed my heart. And so it was a little bit at a time. It was God's timing, I don't know what he was doing, but I definitely wasn't surrendering or nothing like that. But God was pressing in on me. And so I went back to jail, and we would do Bible studies under our door, be praying. We only got this big, yelling. And so faithfully we had family night Sunday, and God was just working on me, totally working on me. So I ended up going to prison again, and I'm still on fire, and so what happened was, no, it was before, because my mom was praying for me that one time. So, but my mom, I didn't know, while I was getting on fire for the Lord when that Bible opened, my mom was, she had breathing problems and she couldn't go far. So she was going next door to the neighbor's house and they were praying for me at that exact time. But the mail, like, you take a couple months to get mail, you can't get phone calls or nothing like that on AR. So nobody knew what was really happening with me and I didn't know what was happening out there. But God was doing a miracle between me and my mom, and answering prayers, and I was getting freedom and all that stuff. But so I remember when I got out, me and my mom were gonna get baptized, and my other boyfriend, Jimmy P at the time, he was probably the biggest drug dealer in Modesto, which did not help out for me. I got out, it took 1 week, and I already met the baptism lady, and I was ready to go, and it came for a time for me and my mom to get baptized together. And I was like, I'm not lying. People, when I say I stay up for weeks at a time, they're like, you can't do that. I would stay up 30 days at a time back then. But I was probably up 2 weeks this time, and so I was like, Jimmy, I can't do it, I cannot go get baptized. Like, I was totally just conflicted, like, talk about being tormented. And Jimmy said, the church is right down the street from Jimmy's house, like not even 4 blocks. He said, man, you're going to get up and you're going to go get baptized with your mom. And I was like, oh my gosh, because nobody knew I was really doing dope because I was undercover doing it. And so I went, and I didn't say anything, but I went and got baptized. And I can't even say that it was a great baptism, because I was totally just like tormented, like this is ridiculous. But so to fast forward a little bit, I still wasn't surrendering to God. Like, I had the fire, and I knew something was going on, but I didn't really know quite like what. But God was still working in me, and so let's see here. I go to jail again. Hey, I stayed in jail. But I go to jail again, and this time I'm fighting a gun charge, and I fight it a bunch of other charges, but I knew I could beat it, because I didn't have it in my possession. So I'm going to fight this one to the very end. And so this is the time where I ended up going to BMAX for 2 years, and BMAX is just solid lockdown. Not only was I in BMAX, but I was in lockdown in BMAX, which a lot of people, they come out every other day, for rec or showers or whatever like that, but because of my behavior, I never came out. And so my mom was really sick, and it sucked that I couldn't even get on the phone to call my mom. When I came out for my showers, I was cuffed, went to the shower, and came back. And I know I used to go underneath my door and have people call my mom, and she would hold the phone, I love you, Mom, and here she is. Little do I know, my mom is like literally dying, And so I ended up doing my 2.5 years, and they sent me to prison. No, I'm in BMAX, and this is where I get surrender. And like I said, I was really, really bad. They had me on this loaf diet 5 times where they crush up your food and they make you eat it, but because the lockdown wasn't even helping. They couldn't figure out how I kept getting drugs, and whatever. I kept getting high and all that stuff, but they finally said, you know what, we're done with you. You're going to no man's land. And if you've ever been to BMAX, I don't know if you have, but no man's land is mental health, and it's like where all the mental health people are, and you can see them from BMAX through the bullet class window, and they're crazy style. And I was like, no, please, So I had to literally get forced into the cell. Well, because I'll tell you why they had to force me. I don't mind going in the cell, but when they opened up this door, every single brick was covered in human crap, and there was demonic stuff printed all over the walls, and I can't stand any kind of poop, and I was just like, no. So I wrestled with the cops. No, this is a true story, dude. And I was like, there's no way I'm going in that cell. Like, you have to literally bring all your people to take me in there because I ain't going in. So yeah, come to find out, I did go in that cell, and it was disgusting, you guys, And I just wiped off the toilet. Mind you, I was high. I was super high. I wiped off the toilet because everything was messed up. And I just sat there. By now I know there's a God, I know there's a God. I know there's a God. I know He's inside of me. I felt Him, Now I know there's a God. And God, if you're real, God, and if you're here, God, and if you love me, God, like you say you love me, God, then you need to set me free right now in Jesus' name, Father God. You need to release me from this addiction, God. I sat there and I cried and I cried. I was crying because of the poop 1st, 2015. I have never done drugs since that day. I've never done dope since that day, you know, and dope was a big issue for me. And so what I did, you know, they wouldn't give me my property, so I cleaned all that crap off the wall because I had to stay in there 45 days, you know. And I cleaned the vent, you know, the vent that blows the air. That was the worst thing I could ever do because when I wiped all that dry poop off the vent, it got wet and it started stinking to my cell. Oh man, tell me about it. So all they did is give me my Bible, you know, and I got in my Bible. Let me tell you right now, I got in my Bible, and I've been around all kinds of people, you know what I mean? But I was with nobody, and it felt like I was just so overpowered with God's presence, you know. And I'm hard-headed, and you know, and I'm rebellious, you know. And God said, I'm gonna sit you down, and you're gonna do what I say. You're gonna hear me today, and that's what He did. He sat me down, and He had me in His Word, and He had me feel His presence. And I was just in love with the Lord. I was so I was in hell over there, but with God right there by me, like I was just overfilled with like some kind of joy, I guess you would call it. But I got to know the Lord on the one-on-one basis, like on a deep, intimate basis, you know. And I went to prison, and I didn't do no dope. Mind you, like I had dope on me. I never did it. I had to survive, you know, but I never did dope again. And I just got out. I got out of prison, and I hit the streets, flaring it up. Like I was on fire. Like if you know me, like I don't hold back. I speak, and I was on fire for the Lord because I went through a whole nother year without touching any dope. But let me just rewind again real quick because this is a very dear part. It's not dear. It actually sucked. But when I was in prison, mind you, like I said, you don't get phone calls. You barely get your mail, you know, and as soon as I hit AR, my mom always puts money on my books, you know, so I could get my hygienes. And my mom hadn't put no money on my books. I didn't get no mail, you know, and there was nothing I could do but just sit there and pray, you know. And I remember when I got the letter about my mom, you know, it was from the neighbor that my mom had talked to and was praying with, and she said, we just wanted to let you know we're rejoicing that your mom went to heaven today. And man, I hit that floor, and I don't think I got up for a good minute, you know. And it was sad. It was 3 months before my release, and I was devastated. Mind you, I hadn't talked to my mom and seen my mom in 3 years, you know, and I was devastated, like, no. And I did know about heaven, but I didn't understand, you know, like why she was saying, I'm going to rejoice that your mom's in heaven. Why are you happy my mom's in heaven? You know what I mean? I was actually kind of ticked off about that, but I know why now, you know, because so much better in heaven. Like, who doesn't want to go to heaven? I can't wait to get to heaven, you know. My mom was sick. She was really bad sick. And so I got out. I stayed on my bunk for my 2 weeks, and, you know what I mean? I didn't get up because I needed to get home because during that time, my brother had lost Josh. He was in foster care. My other brother was way out, and my baby brother was depressed, like beyond all control. And you know, I hadn't done no dope, so I was lit up. You know, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna be there for my family, and that's what I'm gonna do if I have to sit on my rack for 2 weeks. But I knew Chandra, a Christian woman. But other than that, you guys, like, I didn't know any Christian people at all. I didn't know anybody that did anything good. Everybody that I knew was just like me, you know. And so I was really scared, actually, to get out because I didn't know where I was going to go because my mom's house was our house. Like, she'd always let us in, even though she always kicked me out. She always let us in, and you know, that was our place to go when we got out of prison, when we needed to eat, you know, whatever. My mom was always there for us. And so we didn't have a house, you know, and I get this letter, and they're talking about, I was scared. I didn't know what I was going to do. All my main prayer was, God, send me to some Christian women. Send me to some Christian women, you know, that's all I needed. And so that was my prayer. Well, and I have to tell this testimony because it's where I met Mark and fell in love with Mark Hammond. When I was in prison, my mom owned her house, right? And when I was in prison, I get a letter, and they're saying that your Uncle Richard's gonna go ahead and buy that house from you guys because your mom owes too much money, and so he's gonna give all your siblings $2,000. Mind you, we're broken, we're wrecked, we have no idea about anything about houses or but we knew my mom was in debt, and so my brothers are like, yeah, $2,000, and I'm thinking in prison, all right, I'll get a car, all right, let's do it. And when I get out of prison, it just wasn't adding up. It wasn't adding up at all. I went to my mom's house. My daughter and my little brother came pick me up from prison, and I would ride my bike to my mom's house, and actually that's where I met my husband, Sean. Sean, actually, I'm not going to tell all his story because it's his story, but a lot of people think that Sean saved me, and Sean has molded me, he has, but actually when I got out of prison, Sean was straight tweaked out with my brother, honestly, and I would ride my bike to my mom's house, because we had to hurry up and clean it up, to get it sold or whatever, and when I walked in and I met Sean, I was like, Brandon, why are you doing drugs with a narc? I thought for sure that Sean
Yeah. I did too.
I know that God had a plan for us, because my husband is mighty, and so when I got out, and I believe that God speaks to you. Mind you, I'm still not understanding everything about God, and how powerful He is and what He does for you. You know what I mean? But I believe that God spoke to me and told me, this is wrong, this is not right. And so I went to my brothers and I was like, check it out. We're not going to sell our house for $2,000. We're gonna really sell our house. And somebody said, hey, there's this pastor named Mark Hammond. He's a real estate agent. Go call him up. He'll hook you up. He'll help you out.
Amen. Yeah.
I called him, and I told him what happened. He said, where do you live? And he came, and he didn't know us. He didn't know me. He didn't know my brothers. He didn't know any of us. I'm not from Airport. And so he came to our house, and when I tell you my house was tore up, it was tore up, like cockroaches, mold, disgusting. It was bad, dude. It was sick. But here comes this little real estate agent, and he says, I'll help you. He didn't know us from Adam, but he knew that we were some broke down kids, and he said, I'm going to help you. This is what you do. He had us file this paperwork, he gave us money. He gave us money to clean up the house, seriously. And he said, if you guys do sell the house, then you guys can pay me back. But if not, don't even trip on that. And I'm like, wow, he helped us the whole process, We sold my mom's house for $91,000, and it was God just had my back. You know what I mean? He sent his soldier to come and help us, you know what I mean? And I'll forever be grateful for Pastor Mark.
Me too. Amen.
Amen. That's right.
Yeah, so I've been clean, and I met Sean, and we were walking in some major sin, and the minute we got out, I'm sure he saw, this girl just got out of prison, and